Hi, I'm the Malt activist, and today we have a couple of whiskeys that I'm pretty sure have been flying under the radar for many of you. And it's not a very popular whiskey, and it was actually brought to my attention by my good friend Welsh Toro, who down in the comments suggested that I get my hands on this particular expression, and so I did. I've had a wee taste, and I'm pretty impressed, to be honest. Curious as to what I'm talking about? All right, let me share with you the Old Ballantruan Peated whiskey from Speyside. This is the non-age statement version, and I have with me the Old Ballantruan, 15 years old, also peated, and from a Speyside distillery. Now, if you're wondering which distillery that is, let me tell you, it's not the Old Ballantruan Distillery. These are just a range of whiskeys coming out of Tomintoul Distillery. And Tomintoul is a Speyside distillery, does unpeated whiskeys, except for this particular range. And, I've had the Tomintoul peaty tank. That was their early on experiment with peated barley, and now they have this particular expression. And so I have two of those expressions with me. I have the NAS peated and the 15-year-old peated. So let's pour them in a glass and see what the fuss is all about. Yeah, they're both colored, so there's no point. I've tried these and I'm quite pleasantly surprised, to be honest with you, because there's a very distinct difference between coastal peat and inland peat, right? And so Islay whiskies will of course use coastal peat, so all your Ardbegs, Lefroigs, Kilchoman's, Kalilas will use that coastal peat, and that brings with it very maritime flavors, of seaweed and salt and ocean spray. Whereas inland peat, which is being used here in this particular expression, is very, very earthy. It's almost a woody bonfire note to it. So quite different from Islay peat. So just because it's peated doesn't mean it sort of rivals in taste or aroma anything that comes from the coastal side of Scotland. So this is the NAS version. It's supposed to be a mix of bourbon and sherry casks. There's not much literature going around. I wish there was. I wish they'd tell you everything on the bottle, but they don't. And after a fair bit of research, I found out that this has ex-bourbon barrels, I think second and third fill, and some sherry in here as well. What ratios? I have no idea. This is a very nice nose. Initially, I get a touch of spirit and furniture varnish, but that sort of mellows out, and then I get more forest fires, That's a wrong word to use. It's more bonfire, let's say woody bonfire. Very earthy, lots of vanilla, butterscotch, lemon drops, milk chocolate, dried figs, raisin, barley sugar. All in that, very, very sort of smoky, woody peat that envelops the whole thing. And now a hint of red fruits as well. So overall, this is quite a nice nose. It's definitely not an Islay nose, and you shouldn't expect it to be just because it says peated. This is peated quite high. This is peated at about 55 ppm. To give you a benchmark, Ardbeg 10s are peated at 40. So this is definitely way more peated than an Ardbeg. But the smokiness, like I said, is more of a woody, earthy bonfire smoke. This is a good nose. I like it. Very nice. Good strong presence on the palate. This is bottled at 50%, so it packs a little punch. Again, very smoky, very bonfire on the palate. It almost like threatens to override any other flavors, but the longer you mull it on your palate, the more flavors it gives you. And it's quite dry, it's quite spicy, quite herby. I get vanilla, I get different types of cereals, and towards the end it becomes sweeter, more lemon tart, if you like. The finish is quite long, again dry, spicy, woody. So I think that's the characteristic of this particular expression. Very earthy, very woody, quite spicy, woody spicy, so aromatic spices as well, and the smoke is a very woody smoke. So overall, I think this is a good whiskey. It's quite budget friendly as well. I think around 40-45 pounds if you can find it at the right place. So yeah, definitely if you're looking at trying something different, then this is a good expression to pick. Okay, on to our 15-year-old. This one is immediately more mellow. I think it has at least 10 years or 9 years on the NAS version that we just tasted. I think the NAS can't be more than 5-6 years old. So this one at 15, I think it's definitely hinting it's at its age. All the rough edges are more or less mellowed out. This is not as smoky as the NAS version, but still you get that it's quite prominent. But when you compare the two, it's not so much. And now this is more of an oily, woody smoke. Yeah, charcoal as well. So it leads with the smoke, but then it has a lot of plump fruits, like grapes, apricots, pineapple. It's definitely more softer, more mellow. I'm getting this toasted apple pie note as well. This note is definitely nicer than the NAS version. I think the NAS version still has a bit of rawness. It's a little young compared to this. So the 15, I think, is sort of like I said, aged nicely and gracefully, and all the rough edges have been sort of mellowed out. But you can tell the signature flavors between both of these versions, because again, right towards the end, I get the red fruits, cherries and licorice. Your nose. Wow. So this is bottled at 50% as well. Doesn't seem like 50% compared to the NAS version. The NAS version is definitely way more spicier. This is so much more fruitier, so much more balanced. Lots of butterscotch, honey, vanilla, toasted caramel. Again, I get that apple pie, almost like a singed apple pie note, which I really like. There's a dry coconut in there as well. The finish is nice and long, quite oily, nice and spicy. So, definitely a better whiskey in my opinion than the NAS version. Age will do that for sure. But it really depends what you're in the mood for, I think. And this one's been made differently as well. So this is exclusively bourbon barrel, I think second, third, and refill, whereas the NAS has a hint of sherry in it. So they're definitely different expressions aimed at providing you a different experience. But pound for pound, I would think that the 15 is definitely a much better dram. It's not that much more expensive than the NAS version, and it gives you a sophistication that the NAS one doesn't. Now again, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the NAS one is crap. It's also a good whiskey, but you can find its flaws. And then when you compare it to something that's 8, 9, 10 years older than that, then those differences come out quite prominently. Yes, I like it. It's not very complex. This is a good, easygoing flavor profile. It's nicely peated. It's not overly smoky. It's nicely balanced, which I like. So the sweetness comes in rather strongly against the smoke, whereas the NAS has more of a smokier, spicy side to it compared to the 15-year-old. They're both good in my opinion, but if you were to pick one, I'd say pick the 15. That's my recommendation. But again, like I said, both very decent and well-crafted whiskeys. So thank you for joining me for this whiskey review. I'm the Malt Activist. Until next time.